Fighter, you ready?
Combate Global.
Oh, what a punch. What an incredible fight. Can you believe what you just saw? We have a champion.
Welcome once again into the best of Combate Global here on Fuse TV. I am Max Bretos. There is Alex Wendling. We are basking in the glow of another incredible card last week featuring the great female fighters of Combate.
Yes, the female fighters always bring the action, and last week we saw some amazing performances, and not surprised at all. That's what they always do.
We're going to show you all that action. We are going to feature a lot of the female fighters, including Kayla Lopez, the French fighter. What we know about French MMA, it's on a rocket ship these days, and Kayla Lopez is leading the way, and we've seen her many times inside the Jaula.
Yes, it's definitely growing over there in France, and she trains at Great Britain Top Team, really working in that submission game. We've seen crazy submissions from her on the Ryzen platform, from her dog bars, rear naked chokes, so it's going to be amazing to dive into the submission grappling side of her style.
We'll get a good look at Kayla Lopez on this show. We're going to go back to August of 2021 for Last Latina Standing. This is a tournament. 8 women, 1 night, fighting for that title at the very end.
Yes, and having multiple fights in one night is really hard on the body. She fought through a lot of adversity that night, and it just shows a lot about her mentality.
We were going to get a featured fight from that semifinal round where Kayla Lopez would fight Paulina Vargas of Mexico. 2 tough competitors. They both already won a fight in the quarterfinals, both looking to book their ticket to the final, both fighting in the Jaula that you see right behind us. Let's take a look at Kayla Lopez, Paulina Vargas. As promised, the very best of Kayla Lopez, again, the Last Latina Standing tournament. Here she is. This was going to be in the strawweight division, 115 pounds. There is Paulina Vargas, a great competitor in Combate Global, who has done extremely well. Got to this spot. We'll talk about her quarterfinal matchup, but we're ready for the action. Let's go to Lupe Contreras.
Damas y caballeros, prepárense. Llegó el momento de un Combate Global. En la esquina azul, vestida de rojo con negro in the blue corner, wearing red with black. Su peso oficial, 114 libras y media, her official weight, 114.5 pounds. Su récord profesional, 5 victorias y 3 derrotas, her pro record, 5 victories against 3 losses. Llega a las semifinales. Por la vía de decisión unánime, she reaches the semifinals by way of unanimous decision. Fighting out of Nice, France, Kayla Lopez. En la esquina roja, vestida de negro in the red corner, wearing black, detuvo la báscula. A 114 libras y un cuarto, she tipped the scales at an official 114.25 pounds. Su récord profesional, 5 victorias y solo una derrota, her pro record. 5 victories against 1 lone defeat. Toma su posición en las semifinales por la vía de decisión dividida. She reaches the semifinals by way of split decision. De pura sangre tapatía, Guadalajara, Jalisco, México, Paulina Vargas.
Ready? Lista? A pelear!
There is Kayla Lopez in the red, and Paulina Vargas, who beat Claudia Diaz to make it to this point. Semifinals, you're halfway there to the final.
And we love a orthodox versus orthodox matchup. They're kind of going tit for tat right now, getting in and out of each other's distance.
We will showcase Kayla Lopez. We'll take a better look at her later in the program, too. A fighter that we are going to see later this year in 2024. She's a top-tier athlete, used to be a gymnast, in jiu-jitsu, several mixed martial arts along the way. Muay Thai at the age of 13, or 13 years ago, where she's been excelling. Getting her portfolio together.
And these girls are really letting it fly. No attempts at a takedown so far, just trying to land those overhand rights. But here we go for the takedown, and down she goes with the double leg into side control immediately. And this is where that gymnastics background kind of comes into play, because she is so heavy with her hips, flexibility on point, and moving into a judo side control here, really controlling the body and into high mount. Beautiful stuff by the French woman.
And now she go, the full mount. And we talked about getting the job done early, and that's exactly what Kayla Lopez wants to do. A nice little
A nice little sweep there, but straight into the guard of Claire Lopez. We'll see if she can do anything from her back. Definitely most of her submissions either come when she's on someone's back or on top. But she, again, has that gymnastics background, so we're seeing the hip dexterity. And back to the feet we go.
Got back to the feet quickly. Back to the stand-up where it was even Stevens. Claire Lopez looking to show her case, her skills there. Paulina Vargas, no slouch by any means. The taller fighter for sure. Looking to use that width and certainly the length.
And they're so muscular. Like, you look at them and you won't expect them to be smaller than you, but these women are 105 pounds, just straight muscle.
Yeah, Claire Lopez in particular, and we talk about gymnastics, and all of that goes in, and she does the next takedown, getting into the guard again of Paulina Vargas.
Yes, now she's working that half guard position. Claire doing a great job of dominating on top. And she was able to execute that double leg takedown twice now, so that's definitely something that she looks to use. And onwards to the high mount again.
And she has Vargas. Vargas coming into this fight was 4-1. Pardon me, 5-1 after the win over Claudia Diaz. And there is the rear naked attempt.
She's a little high on the back, but able to flatten her out here.
Oh, there's the flattening out process. And now Raul Porata have to communicate with Paulina Vargas to make sure she's okay. This is excellent from Claire Lopez, tightening the grip.
Yeah, she's tightening the grip there, staying calm. And you can't tell from this angle if she's under the chin or not, but even if it's a face crank, we've seen her face crank Camila Rivarola before, so we know that she has the strength to pull that off as well, instead of a blood choke for
You can see that. You can see Vargas doing pretty well, getting those hands in the space between the arms of Claire Lopez and her neck.
Yes, but not a fun position to be in. Getting flattened out, the ground and pound. French woman, she comes in with a lot of passion to these fights. She is a mother, so she's trying to set herself up for a better life with her son.
Another drop of the hips, tightening it again. Just the recheck.
Paulina
This one looks
Vargas
deep.
is tough.
It's been a long time in that position for Vargas.
It's definitely not a fun position to be in. I see in the background Christian Puas Perez. He's probably doesn't have much advice to give her in that position, though.
Hasn't gotten locked in. Now goes for a third bite of the cherry. And this time,
Taps!
she does get the tap. A first round finish, exactly what you want to do in a tournament format. To the victor, the spoils. Claire Lopez victorious.
Ladies and gentlemen, the blue corner forces her opponent to tap with an official time of 3 minutes 43 seconds. Moving on to the finals, avanzando a las finales. Your winner by submission, la vencedora por sumisión, Claire Lopez.
Claire Lopez, the victor. We'll have much more Claire Lopez. Don't go anywhere on this program. Plus, Campbell McLaren, El Jefe, and his mailbag coming up. Welcome back to the Best of Combate Global here on Fuse TV. We have Campbell McLaren. It's all about branding.
No, that's me.
It's all about branding. How do we refer to you? You said.
I like Senior Campbell. A lot
Senor
of people
Campbell.
say Senior Campbell, so I like that a lot.
Do you know why you're here?
And not Senior Campbell, by the way. And don't call me the grandfather of MMA. I'm the godfather of MMA. There's a big difference.
Who called you the grandfather? No one's called you that.
No, you're right.
Do you know why you're here?
Do I know why I'm here? Well, I was invited down to the studio. We said we're doing something special.
We are.
We're
To
putting
create
you in
a
the
new
hot seat.
segment. And the hot seat.
Campbell's mailbag. And we've asked some viewers out there
We're not
to
really.
ask questions that we will ask Campbell. Go to our Instagram handle for future shows, of course, to Combate Global and ask a question of Campbell.
We're not really calling this mailbag, are we? That's like.
They're sending in their mail. They're asking
They're
tough
not
questions.
sending in the mail.
Electronic mail.
There's no mailbags anymore. Is this how it's going to go?
Yes,
This is
we have a wide variety of questions. We're going to go rapid fire here between Alex and I. We'll see if we can get as many questions as possible. I'm going to get us started. I'm going to go big picture here. And we talk about Combate, which we love so much here. But what separates Combate Global from all the other mixed martial art companies?
Oh, God, did someone actually ask that?
No, that was my question.
Oh,
I'm
because I was going to say, you really have to ask that? Watch Combate. You'll see what's different. Can I curse on
No.
this? No, there's no cursing on the show. Everything is different. That's what's different. It's all different. The fighters, how they look. All our fighters are in incredible shape, very athletic, and very young. And they come in and they fight like puppies. Like, so you see that right away. First round knockouts, first round finishes. most of the folks are from Spanish-speaking countries, so they have a flair and an attitude, even though we did have a bunch of Irishmen in our last show, which is a ton of fun, too. So what's different? With the mat, we have a Gucci mat. Who else has a Gucci? Who else has a Gucci mat? Come on, seriously. The music, the feel, the entrances, the style of fighting. When I started the UFC, I started with grapplers, with jiu-jitsu, right? With the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu family. And they started in their and then ground and pound developed, and then the thing got mixed. Combate's totally different. Everyone comes into Combate, they want to stand up and punch each other in the face as hard as they can. What's different about Combate? I'm offended. I'm not sure I want to continue.
I'm going to leave. That's my question. I apologize.
All right. Whatever.
Alex, you're
yes, we're always guaranteed mucha más acción, and we've even seen some influencers with 7 million followers come into La Jaula, Joey Mendez, Luis Escudero. So how do you get these guys to sign a contract to fight inside that jaula?
You know, that's a great question. And it was actually...
better than mine.
Your question so sucked. I mean, I'm still offended by it. All right, we're going to move on. Okay. With those guys, there's a bunch of influencers that think they can fight. And a lot of guys think they can punch, right? And especially after a couple tequilas. Then let me hit somebody, right? But MMA is different. It's much more complicated. You have to have a standing game, a ground game, the transition. It's much more complicated. You can't just show up and go, let me do some MMA today, right? Like you guys think they can hit people. So a lot of these influencers, they're just, they're morons is what they are. They're just complete morons. And what we had with Luis and Joey, they came to us because they're rolling, they're doing jiu-jitsu, they're in the gym, they understand MMA, they loved it. They literally came to us to do this. It's not some cheese bag influencer. No, these guys came in to fight. You saw Joey do that flying Superman punch, and Luis' ground game was quite good. I mean, these guys are real fighters. They called us. I'm really impressed with those guys, and both Luis and Joey are going to be back soon.
Yeah, so if you influence...
Much better question.
Yeah, if you want to... Thank you, Alex. I'm glad you're here. If you influence, you want to get in the jaula, be ready. Who is the scariest Combate fighter outside the jaula? Great question.
Well, not technically a Combate fighter, but my dear friend Juliana Pena, who was UFC champion, right? So I took I took a picture of her. I put it on Instagram. She really didn't like it. Really didn't like it. And she came up behind me and she said, if you do that again, I will choke you unconscious. And she meant it. So I got to give JP the scariest. My fighters, they're so respectful of me because I'm, Don Campbell.
But they're respectful.
Senior
when you see
Campbell.
them inside the house, they're always very respectful of what they're doing. Yeah,
so they don't scare me. But back in the day, there was a guy named Tank Abbott that threatened to really do, really nasty things to me. And then he detailed how nasty it was going to be. And it really did scare me.
Well, we're definitely glad that he didn't follow up on those threats because we have some big things coming up. A few fans were wondering if we're ever bringing Combate Global to Europe.
Oh, absolutely. Next year, certainly Spain. And not 100% confirmed, but I do believe we're going to be in Paris at the end of the year.
Oh, exciting. Road trip. Pack your bags. Stamp your passport. Just a little time here left, Campbell. La Loba Maritza Sanchez. Everyone wants to see it.
I mean,
Are we getting closer to seeing it?
I would pay to see that. I
Don't
guess
dodge the answer.
I guess actually I would pay to see it, right? Because I got to pay them. Coming soon, folks. We're working on it. La Loba did have a bit of a knee injury, but I think she's okay. Maritza said she's ready to go. Maritza also said, I already beat her once. So, sounds like fighting words. We all want that fight. Coming soon.
Let's go. We got to get that flyweight action. Those two throw bombs in there. So let's keep our fingers crossed for that one.
Time for one more quick question.
Do you have a favorite submission?
Do I have a favorite submission? Yeah, when I have to pay the fighters more money.
Not what I had in mind, but coming up next on the Best of Combate Global, we'll talk submissions. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Best of Combate Global here on Fuse TV. There's nothing more exciting, Alex, than announcing a fight. It's been out there June 22nd, right here in the Jaula in Miami. You just saw Kayla Lopez. She is going to fight Kayla Roco, this is going to be lights out.
Yeah, this is a very high-profile atomweight bout that we're going to see. Two fighters with strong backgrounds looking to win the title of Best in Combate Global.
And the lighter weight classes, you think 105 pounds, and maybe you're saying, wait a minute, these women don't have power, but they pack a big punch, and we've learned that about Kayla Roco when she got here at Combate. Unknown quantity, we didn't know what to expect, but she has torn things off. She's had a great winning streak. She means business.
Yes, she has a boxing pedigree, but she came in as the best grappler and wrestler of 2023, so she really is proud of becoming a well-rounded fighter inside La Jaula.
That was a good show. Or, yeah, our best grappler. I remember
I
that.
love those stats. Shout out Combat IQ.
We know about Kayla Roco. Let's get to know a little bit more because she prepares for a big fight.
My name is Kayla Roco. I am from Reading, PA, but I train out of Coconut Creek, Florida. I started with boxing. I was 23 years old when I walked into a boxing gym. It changed my life. I was working full-time. I was working with kids with severe mental and behavioral disorders. That's what I went to school for. But when I started boxing, my plans kind of changed a little bit. You know, I fell in love with the sport and wanted to do it every single day. And after 2 years of boxing, I actually kind of got recruited. A head coach at American Top Team saw this video of me boxing and he commented on it and like complimented me. And from there, I kind of just reached out to him and sort of sold myself as a fighter. I was like, you know, I will do whatever it takes to reach my highest potential. Like, I want nothing more than to succeed in this sport. And I know that if I come to American Top Team with the best training partners and coaches in the world, like that will happen. So I came to visit and man, that was like a scary week for me. It kind of felt like a tryout, right? And all of a sudden I found myself training at the mecca of MMA. And I was kind of like thrown into the fire, you know, training with girls like Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Tisha Torres. And it was sort of sink or swim. Like I had to find a way to survive or I was gonna die.
Kayla Roco.
Rocco's been sharp. Yeah, man. So fast. Woo. Great combination, Rocco.
I feel like I'm improving every single fight, and that's important to me. You know, I can't expect a perfect performance for myself, but if I'm improving and I'm showing new skills, you know, I can be happy with that. Sometimes the better fighter doesn't always win because there's these tiny details and moments in fights that make a huge difference. So a lot of times mentally, like in any fight, I sort of have like not a starting point, but almost a returning point. So like if things get chaotic in the fight, kind of like my last fight in the first 30 seconds, it started very chaotic. So I really had to like kind of zone back in and ground myself. And a lot of times for me, that looks like being in good position and having good movement and having good feints before I can kind of think about starting my offense. So I sort of take myself back to that point and recenter myself, and that's what works for me. My favorite place to train is right here at American Top Team. In this cage behind me, I'm getting my butt beat every single day, you know, and finding ways to adapt and finding ways to improve and win. So really just trusting in my preparation. I'm not a wrestler, but man, I've been wrestling every single day for 6 years straight here at American Top Team. We have incredible coaches, Steve Mocco, Mike Brown. So although I haven't been wrestling very long, I do feel like I'm learning things that people don't usually learn until like later in their careers. And so I almost feel like I have this cheat code, right? Like I have access to this very high level knowledge. You know, I'm in here every single day with people who are jiu-jitsu black belts, judo black belts, and they're bigger and stronger than me and they're better than me. So I'm looking forward to the day where people, you know, stop calling me a boxer.
Kayla Roco, an amateur champion in boxing. Very tight hands, excellent jab, good combinations.
I'm happy because I really feel like I found a home at atomweight. I feel like this is a weight class I belong in. And I think I can do big things in this weight class. So I'm looking forward to, seeing who Combate wants me to fight next. I'm excited to keep testing myself against Combate's best and to keep improving. Like, part of why I love this sport is to truly test myself. I'm not in there like just to get easy fights and easy wins. I truly want to put my skills to test against the best and see who comes out victorious. So whoever is the best and whoever they consider the best organization at 105, that's who I want to fight. I love to fight. I love to test myself. Fighting makes me feel alive, right? And all of fight week, it's almost like my senses are heightened. Like, I see things differently. I hear things differently. I experience things differently. And that's part of what I love most about fighting is, man, it makes me feel alive. So I don't really have to pump myself up. It's just, it is what it is. I'm ready to get in there and throw hands and do what I love to do most.
Welcome back to the best of Combate Global. Alex, what is Combate Global known for?
Knockouts, baby.
Knockouts, 100%. 100%. However, I've seen the house come down for a good submission. There's nothing quite like it. When they hit it, it is a thing of beauty.
Yes, I'm a jiu-jitsu nerd, so I love to see the submissions. And in this next fight between Kayla Rivarola and Kayla Lopez, we see some great action.
Let's get it. For all of those other jiu-jitsu nerds, the submission at its very best. Let's go inside the aula.
Y 4 derrotas in 10 bouts as a professional. She maintains a record of 6 victories against 4 losses. De Nice, Francia, Kayla Lopez. Su contraria en la esquina roja. Her opponent in the red corner, vestida de azul, wearing blue. Su peso oficial, 115 libras y media. Her official weight, 115.5 pounds. Entra a la jaula por 9ª ocasión a nivel profesional, con 4 victorias, 3 derrotas y un empate. She enters la jaula for the 9th time as a professional, with 4 victories against 3 losses and 1 bout even. Representando a Montevideo, Uruguay, Kayla Rivarola.
There is Kayla Lopez in white, her opponent Kayla Rivarola. The first thing you'll notice when these two meet in the center of the jaula is the height advantage for Rivarola, who was born in Uruguay, now lives in France, so some familiarity between these two.
Exactly, and these two coming out hot right out the gate. They're former sparring partners, so both of them have fond memories of how those sparring sessions went. But man, they're throwing haymakers right out the gate.
We are focusing on the submission, but Kayla Lopez using that striking game to perhaps set things up against the much taller opponent. We've seen her so successful finding those submissions, but they don't just gift wrap them to you. You've got to earn it.
Exactly, and those barrage of strikes and uppercut and straight to the back is Kayla Lopez.
Wow, that was seamless with the strike and then going to the rear naked on Rivarola.
And she's really just starting to crank this. Usually a rear naked strangulation is a blood choke, but she's on top of the chin here. So it's actually a face crank that Kayla Rivarola taps to in the first round. That's got to feel pretty good for Kayla Lopez, the French woman.
It wasn't under the chin. It was just cranking there, and the pain threshold was crossed by Rivarola as she taps out, and it happened quick. Really impressive from Kayla Lopez. You see a fighter working on her craft and getting better every time.
Especially impressive because she just had her hooks in. She didn't have a body triangle. She was just able to execute that with upper body strength.
Excellent, Kayla Lopez. As you would imagine, El Jefe Campbell McLaren, very, very impressed.
Kayla Rivarola just looking so bummed because she didn't want to get out there and get submitted so quickly in the first round. Even when Kayla Lopez went over to her and gave her a hug, a kiss on the forehead, she was not in great spirits. But here we'll see again, it was the uppercut that just completely took Kayla Rivarola shocked and straight back. Wow, the instinctive nature of Kayla Lopez to hop on the back immediately just goes to show her combat IQ.
44 seconds into round 1, setting up the submission with the striking game, cranking away at Rivarola, who was in a ton of discomfort. Again, let's watch the punch, the uppercut that set it up.
Wow, Kayla Lopez gets the win, improving her record to 7-4. and doing it in dominant fashion.
Claire Lopez victorious with the rear naked choke. And now my favorite part of the program, Alex is gonna go inside the jaula to show you how you can get that technique of the rear naked choke down inside a fight.
Here inside La Jaula, ready to break down Claire Lopez's rear naked choke submission against Camila Rivarola. And with me right now is undefeated fighter Jacob Diaz. We even painted on a fake black eye so that he would feel, like he just got ready for war. And that he did with Claire Lopez and Camila really letting the haymakers fly. It wasn't until Claire Lopez lands that uppercut where she goes down, and it's in this moment where you have to capitalize on your openings, your opportunities where she has the back, but before even getting fully to the ground, she already has this hook sunk in across the neck. It's kind of like you're throwing a hook the way she aggressively went down like that. So as soon as I get down, she has one of her own hooks in and another hook in. This is stabilizing the position here. An even more dominant position would be the body triangle, which is a little bit more difficult to do against my lightweight friend here, but against a strawweight, it's much easier. All right, so now we're gonna look to sink in this submission. So I had the shoulder control here, and now to finish it, you go to the bicep, and you basically just wanna get rid of the space that their neck is in. When you're thinking about the rear naked choke, it's a rear naked choke, but it's really a strangulation because you're trying to cut off the blood from the carotid arteries. So all the blood that's going to their brain cuts off. But if you can't get under the chin, have no fear. As you just saw with Claire Lopez, she was over the chin, making it more of like a jaw lock submission. So she's here, she has the shoulder, she tightens things up and then gets ear to ear connection. Great head positioning from here. And then once you have this position, it's closing the space with your elbows in and then back. So here we're gonna go for it. And a quick tap. Camila Rivarola didn't have a choice once that was sunken in, and Claire Lopez getting a dominant win in the first round.
Welcome back to the best of Combate Global. Earlier in the show, we showed you submissions. I love submissions, you do too. But we do know the audience here at Combate Global likes the quick finishes, likes the KOs. So Alex, tell me a little bit about Tony Cortez.
Yeah, Tony the Conqueror Cortez. He packs a hard punch. He is from Corona, California, and he comes in there to embarrass his opponents. So when he's looking for the knockouts, he's looking for them in the first round, and he comes out aggressive every time.
Our Campbell McLaren even made some comparisons to Mike Tyson, and you'll get a good look. His career is in diapers. He's just getting started. But to watch him, we saw him earlier this year, you can't blink because you're going to miss what this guy could do. He chooses violence.
Yes, inside La Jaula, he is such a character, and outside too, he loves to talk trash, he loves to promote his fights appropriately, and he's just an all-around star on the rise. You guys got to get him.
Tony the Conqueror Cortez, let's take a look. As we like to do in Combate, chance to represent your country. Tony Cortez representing the United States. Matias Zombie Palma from Chile. Cortez in the white. Alex, this is just his second professional fight, and the big left-hander will show you why he is so well regarded.
Yes, he's definitely one of the most dominant southpaws we have on this Combate Global roster. Both of these fighters starting off in the southpaw position, and Matias unloading some kicks, but he's got to stay out of distance when it comes to Tony Cortez's haymakers from that left side.
You see the strength of Cortez locking in there, but Palma, he doesn't even know what Cortez is all about, and then he walks into that.
Down he goes, that elbow strike perfectly placed. The art of 8 limbs, Tony Cortez with a beautiful elbow strike straight to the chin of Matias Palma.
Getting great MMA training. You mentioned he's from Corona. He's fighting out of Temecula, which is where Dan Henderson's Athletic Fitness Center is. It was the big overhand left to set up the forearm.
And now we can kind of see why Campbell calls him Mike Tyson of MMA. That was some power behind that strike.
Didn't break a sweat. And you see the athleticism as he jumps on top of the jaula. That had to feel good. That's exactly where he wanted the fight to go.
Yeah, post-celebration, jumping on top of La Jaula is definitely the way to go. Get that nice shot from Scott Hirano. It looks like Matias Palma shook off the cobwebs, but Tony Cortez must be very proud of that knockout.
Palma's disappointed. You see him, clenching his jaw, still stinging. I'm sure if he fights Cortez again, if he gets that chance, he'll do it very differently. Cortez.
A little celebration here because he moves on to 2-0, the undefeated featherweight He is representing La Jaula very, very well with a dominant win there.
He's a great fighter. He's a great story. We like him a lot. We hope to see him a lot more in 2024. No one likes him as much as Campbell McLaren. Very impressed, I am sure, as he shares a few words with the Conqueror. Woo! Impresionante. Tony Cortez, who I love this quote. We've talked about it. He wants to be, he calls himself a contract killer.
Yes, he definitely kills some contracts in there when he knocks them out like that. I mean, beautiful elbow slice. He's so good off of the cage because he's never actually looking to straight up wrestle you. He's looking to land a strike off of the break, and he did just that in 32 seconds. Impressive stuff.
So that was his second fight. Earlier this year in 2024, he had his third fight. Mauricio Rios of Mexico now knows that Tony Cortez is the real thing. He comes in at 4-0. This is a much better opponent, and he has some tape on Tony Cortez.
Yes, and Mauricio Rios was coming in confident with his jiu-jitsu game, representing 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu, but Tony Cortez says, I've gone against the leg lockers. This is nothing to me, and he puts on a great performance.
Yeah, as they say, best laid plans for Mauricio Rios, but he will fall into a similar trap of the previous opponent against Tony Cortez. Back for Tony Cortez, this time to fight Mauricio Rios. There is the head-to-head. Cortez wearing pink in honor of breast cancer awareness. His aunt, who is dealing with that awful disease. And he's had a tough life when you look at Cortez. He lost his baby brother. His father was in and out of trouble with the law. It's been very difficult for him, and he's found his way as a fighter.
And that's why he fights with so much passion inside La Jaula. He's really just trying to feel out Mauricio Rios here because he's looking for the kill.
Something about the left-handers, Alex. Just love it. And there's something so menacing as he just got it cocked back there.
And he's definitely looking to line it up here. Mauricio Rios, known for his jiu-jitsu, so he's not trying to get hit by Tony Cortez.
I am predicting that Rios saw the Matias Palma tape. He saw that fight and he goes, I'm not running in.
Exactly, and these two were slotted to fight in December. So this is a highly anticipated fight. Tony Cortez has been talking a lot of trash in the lead up to it. And again, he's lining him up here. Those back kicks generating a lot of power from that southpaw position.
Yeah, remember, Rios is a big prospect out of Mexico. He's not here just to take an L against Cortez. However, you're getting a little close, and that's the danger area as Cortez waiting to pounce.
Yeah, and he's switching stances, trying to be elusive when he sees the left hand of Tony Cortez coming in for the liver shot.
Oh, wow.
Immediately stuns Mauricio Rios.
If you blinked, you missed it. Take another look. Bang!
Perfect placement. I remember when I saw this live, I wasn't sure what happened. I thought it might have been an injury to the foot. I wasn't clear if the referee might have called it too early, but no. Mauricio Rios was done after that liver shot. You go into complete shock.
He's got the Salvadorian flag. Mexican and Salvadorian parents. Another win for Tony Cortez. We will be back. We'll see how a judge can influence a fight. You don't want to miss this. Welcome back to the best of Combate Global here on Fuse TV. Always a reminder, there are 3 people inside the jaula. We forget about the referees sometime, but they play a very important role. Some like to stop a fight early, some let the fight go, some are vocal. What is your preference when you're inside the cage with the fighters and with the referees?
As an outsider, it's definitely easy to cast judgment on the referees. If they're letting the fight go on too long, if they stopped it too early, there's never a black and white answer for these situations. In the long run, we have to assume that the referee is looking out for the fighter's safety. So if they've seen enough, they have the right to call it off. But sometimes they get a little bit too antsy and they stop things too early, so it's definitely a tit-for-tat game there.
It's funny you bring that up because we're going to take an interesting look at maybe some early stoppages, maybe some that went too far. This is a fun game, and we're going to debate this opening, Alex. I want to hear your preferences, and we're going to see whether the stoppage was good, whether the stoppage should have come in, and we'll see, because this is a very important job. Sometimes the people say the best referees are the ones that you don't notice.
Yes, exactly. And then also you get fighters after the fight that are like, I'm so happy that the referee let me fight. But you also know that some of these fighters are crazy. They want to fight almost to the literal death sometimes.
That's a great point.
And they're willing to go that far. So the referee sometimes has to be the responsible one and step in.
Be there for their best interest. Let's take a look. Some big refereeing decisions inside the jaula. Let's get to it. We're going to Mexicali. Alexandro Aguilar, Gabriel Villanueva. Villanueva in the white goes down. We want you to keep an eye on the referee, Raul Porata. waiting to see if he could stop it. And you can see Alex Villanueva in all sorts of problems here.
Yes, there's body shots, knees. Raul Porata looking very close, warning his fighter that he has to fight back. And wow, I love the face of focus, his tongue out, Raul Porata.
No complaints from Villanueva as he shakes it off. This was the right stoppage. It was just a matter of time.
Yes, he was definitely stunned, and on to our next fight.
Ernesto Quiroga and Ivan Perez. Now, Quiroga will show you what he did earlier. He taps out here to Ivan Perez, and he turns to referee Mike Beltran and said, I submitted him earlier. You didn't see the tap.
Yeah, well, a little too late for complaints there. He was submitted, rear naked chokes out, and that tap was obvious.
It's an arm bar. Was there a tap?
Let's take a look. His arm is definitely extended.
I would have tapped out.
But we didn't see a very obvious tap. I think there was a moment where he brushed up against his leg, but when you're in an MMA fight, the tap has to be aggressive, get me out of this submission, and we did not see that from him.
And Quiroga let go before Beltran said he tapped out, which he didn't.
Now we get some debate between these two.
Good communication.
A little too late, but on to our next one.
Omar Torres, Jose Ochoa. Now you see Ochoa get the kick in. Now, there's a complaint here, but I thought that Ochoa said, I knocked him out. He's like walking up. Porata says, I thought you did the same as well.
And he immediately got up after being sat down. I mean, the opponent definitely thought that it was a knockout, but I think that's on Raul Porata to say, hey, he's getting up. We should keep going. But again, sometimes you can't tell in those moments.
This was a classic. Eric Ghost Pepper Gonzalez, the Korean gangster, elbow after elbow. And Mike Beltran is talking there, probably looking for a response from the gangster. Didn't get it. Fight's over.
And that's the issue when you're face down and the referee can't see what's going on. You have to be actively trying to get out of a bad position. You can't just keep eating strikes and think that the referee is going to let it continue on.
And again, good communication, explaining to the fighters why and how that happened. This is Ulises Palomares. He's getting beat up by Eric Garibay. And watch this knee, Alex.
Ooh! That was a good stoppage.
Not
Look
as good
how
as
stunned he was.
Not as good as Porata's intervention, though.
Oh my gosh, this clip went absolutely viral. Raul Porata, when he goes in to stop a fight, he just goes full on football tackle here. I'm a little bit worried that one of these days he's going to land in the wrong place, but luckily no one was injured. And wow, what a great stoppage. That knee, though. Ooh!
He's there to protect the fighters, and he certainly did that from further damage. We'll be back with more Best of Combate Global. Looking at our great female fighters coming your way soon. Welcome back to the Best of Combate Global here on Fuse TV. June the 22nd. Go ahead and mark your calendars.
That's going to be a big fight. One of the most high-profile atomweight fights in history, period. Across promotions, Kayla Roco versus Claire Lopez. That is going to be an absolute chess match between those two.
Well, I'm not going to let you off the hook, Alex. I want you to give me the keys to this fight. We've seen Claire Lopez fight on this program. We've seen what Kayla Roco is all about. Rocco's very tough to beat. When you see her, she will grind out decisions. We've seen Claire Lopez so good with the submissions, which you've demonstrated on the show. What are the keys for the victor, whoever's going to win that fight?
Well, Claire Lopez comes in 8-6. Kayla Roco coming in 7-2. Now, Claire Lopez has a little bit more of finishing experience when it comes to really either getting a submission or a knockout. Kayla Roco, she usually gets wins by decision. She's finished fights as well, but she's looking to get more finishes on her card as well. But she doesn't want to get too overzealous, really putting herself out there, making her chin available. But I think it's going to come down to some submission grappling. Who can get them to the ground first, really execute in the submission and grappling department, and we'll see who gets the best come June 22nd.
It's an interesting point you mentioned. When you're looking at your record as a fighter and you see a lot of decisions there, you're saying I got to diversify because I need opponents to think, I don't know what to expect when I fight them. Could be a submission, could be a TKO, KO.
Yeah, well, Kayla Roco is super high volume, and although she doesn't pack as much power as maybe a Claire Lopez, who has had a lot of finishes, knocking people down on various occasions, Kayla Roco, I think, is a natural atomweight, where Claire Lopez had a lot of experience at strawweight and she really cuts down, and now her nutrition, it makes it easier for her to get to that weight class. But Kayla Roco, she really bruises you up with high volume, really keeping the boxing pedigree there and showcasing her skill set that she's worked on at American Top Team.
June the 22nd, Make sure you catch all the action, the big main event, great card from top to bottom, but it will be Kayla Lopez, Kayla Roco. We love our female fighters here at Combate Global, and they face a lot of challenges. Just an example, Gloria Bravo, one of the top fighters here, gave childbirth. Childbirth's a big deal. And then even being a mom full-time for these kids, it's different than the men. And while they are great entertainers, and we've said this so many times, female MMA is on a rocket ship. People want to be part of it. You want to watch it. Advertisers want to be involved with it. But these fighters have so much more on their plate than the men.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're just talking about 9 months out completely outside of the cage. And then you kind of have to deal with the mental adversity of like, oh, am I ready to get back in the cage? But then you also see fighters who get this mom strength, who come in with even more passion, and they're really putting it all on the line for their family. Just take a look at Kayla Lopez. She was living with her parents, and she just wants to get to the point where she's financially stable enough to support her and her son over there in Great Britain. So it's really fighting with passion, fighting with a purpose. La Loba, she crossed the border, trains in San Diego now, and looking to make the best life for her and her daughter. It's a beautiful thing, and I really am lucky to be able to call these fights of these women that really put it all on the line every single time they enter La Jaula.
And I know you were mentioning something that I think we don't even consider and we take for granted. It's making weight. It's different for the women than it is for the men.
100%. It's definitely a science that takes a lot of trials and tribulations. Even at the elite level, fighters can miss weight. But it's a complicated thing, but we've seen less and less of that here at Combate Global because they stick to their nutrition, their discipline, and they are professional athletes. But again, it's not easy being a woman, especially making the cuts to these crazy divisions like 105. But again, the discipline really speaks volume of what they're able to do.
105 pounds. Don't let that discourage you. These women are going to come out to finish the fight. They come out to win, whether they're 105, and of course all our weight classes from 105 to 135. Alex Wendling, did you have a good time here?
Yes,
you
so
got
much
inside
fun.
the Jaula?
Breaking down submissions, I couldn't be happier.
Fantastic. We'll join you again next week. On behalf of Alex and Campbell McLaren, I am Max Bretos. We'll see you very soon.